Okay, so you might want to get some popcorn for this because I feel like this may be a long video. Also, please do not come for my life, okay? You might have noticed that in the previous video, I was also wearing the same t-shirt. Yes, I am, okay? It's because I sometimes record things on the same day. So I don't like record things every day or every other day. I might record like a series of videos in the same day. So I'm wearing the same shirt, okay? So don't come for me like, oh, you don't got no clothes, you preaching prosperity, but you broke. Don't come for my life, okay? This is being recorded on the same day. All right. So I want to just talk about work, right? I want to talk about work. I want to talk about your work. I want to talk about the work of other people and how that can affect them energetically. So this is not a crash course in auras and chakras, but like a very brief overview. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, like maybe I'll make a separate video on what an aura and chakra is specifically. So, generally in the esoteric and spiritual world, people they call this thing an aura. An aura essentially is like the energy makeup of your body, and this aura is invisible. It lives outside of you and also lives inside of you as well. Science is actually realizing that this aura does exist, and there's been a lot of studies and like really tight knit science communities and underground science communities that's not open to the public yet about how there is this thing called the biomagnetic field, and that's what they're calling it. And they've been doing all these studies regarding the biomagnetic field, and the studies are mind blowing about how much and how deeply we are all connected. But they ain't gonna let you know that in the public. Not yet, anyway, because there's a few things that people enjoy. They enjoy thinking that people, or like letting people know, having them believe that they are truly just physical beings and they have a mind and they have a body and nothing more. But if some of these studies got out, I mean, it would really blow your mind. But that's it. So, biomagnetic field, just know that energy around you, energy inside of you. There's also this thing called chakras. Chakras, did y'all hear that? By the way, it's thunder. It's thunder, y'all. It's crazy up in here. It's storming. All right. So, it's all distracting stuff. Okay, let me focus. Okay. So, there's this thing called chakras, right? Chakras are essentially these energy sensors that are located in different parts of the body. And you can think about them almost like energy pumping stations. And these pumping stations either release energy or receive energy from the environment based off of what's happening, based off of just you living. It's almost like, like you just automatically breathe, right? Most people tend to automatically breathe, right? Their chest expands, their lungs expand and deflate, and the body does that automatically. Same thing with these energy sensors, these chakras. They kind of spin and sort of release energy and take in energy by themselves automatically. So, these energy centers, these chakras, depending on what you do in your life, determine in many ways how strong, maybe even how weak they are. So, I think most of the people that are following me are probably creatives. So you're in the creative field of some sort. So people that are creative generally tend to have very strong throat chakras, because the throat chakra is the chakra for creativity. That's one of the aspects of the throat chakra. The chakra for creativity. The throat chakra, though, is also very tied to the sex chakra. So the sex chakra sounds like what it is. Yes, it does deal with sex, but it also just deals with like the sort of the genital stuff that's just in that part of the body, right? So if someone's sex chakra is malfunctioning, that could mean that maybe there's some genital stuff that's going on, right? Maybe some impotence or STI or something. So that's the sex chakra on its own. So, but the throat chakra affects the sex chakra. So people that are highly creative can also be highly promiscuous. not promiscuous, but they just have, come on, thunder. I keep hearing you. I don't know if y'all hearing this thunder, but it's loud. So I don't want you to think like I'm in Kazakhstan somewhere and there's bombs going off. It's just thunder. So this means that, right, this throat chakra is very strong. That means people that are creatives generally tend to have high sex drives. That's why people in entertainment, think about people in entertainment, singers, actors, musicians, right? You usually hear about them in the news having sexual affairs with other people, or right, or they're moving from one partner to another, right? That was thunder again. If you hear it, if it goes off, I'm just gonna ignore it. Just so you know. Again, all right. So, creatives, right? Strong throat chakras. Creatives, though, sometimes have weak ajna chakras. It's called the ajna chakra. One of the purposes of this chakra is like intelligence, but not like intelligence like smart, like intelligence in terms of like how you go through life, how you're organizing different things in your life. So sometimes creatives are just so creative, they just want to focus on their art and be creative. That sometimes when it comes to knowing how to do business deals or knowing how to really get their art out there in the most productive way possible, it's not necessarily as strong. Sometimes creatives have like weak ajna chakras, right? So I would say for creatives, if you want to work on enhancing your ajna chakra, try as best as you can to do a lot more like things that help to stimulate you mentally. So that essentially when it comes to creating strategy, when it comes to getting your art out there, you'll be stronger in this. I know sometimes there's these games now that help you build strategy and sort of help you with your strategic mind. Doing things like that was super helpful to sort of build that part. So that's creatives. Let's talk about influencers, right? Influencers, people on Instagram or YouTube, people that tend to do a lot of things online, they tend to have very strong solar plexus chakra. So the solar plexus chakra, I might see if I can stand up. Ugh, you can see, it's like right here, right? So it's like this part, like right, so this is like where the chest is, this is the stomach. Solar plexus chakra is right here. So people who are into so social media influencers or people that want to be influencers generally tend to have very strong solar plexus chakras. So they're very like about me. They're very much about how they look. They're very much about creating content that will get them the most likes. And it's very much about making sure that they're in the best light possible, because if not, then that might essentially derail them from being an influencer. So they have very strong solar plexus chakras, but also the solar plexus chakra, in addition to the solar plexus chakra being about me in a very healthy way, if it becomes too big or sometimes what's called too congested, that can cause other problems. It can cause emotional issues. It can cause you to have different thoughts, like one day you might be happy, next day you might be super sad, right? So have these conflicting thoughts. So solar plexus chakra, if it's too congested and if it's too big, can really make someone unstable. So influencers, if you try to be an influencer, they probably need to work more on their heart chakra. So doing things from a place of love and openness, because the more you open up the heart chakra, the more the crown chakra opens, which connects people to the divine source and gives people a chance to not only focus on self-love, but also love for all humanity as well. That's influencers. Let's talk about politicians. Politicians tend to have strong throat chakras. So I said the throat chakra was for creativity. The throat chakra is also for people who tend to talk a lot. People who tend to do a lot of different deals, right, with communication. Strong throat chakras, they also tend to have usually strong ajna chakras because they're strategizing, trying to find different ways to help help government, or they should be, at least. And they also tend to have very strong, what's called the basic chakra. The basic chakra is like at the it's like at like the coccyx area, like right between the sit bones in that area. They tend to have strong basic chakras. That chakra is like good for dynamic energy, good for getting things done. People that tend to have very strong basic chakras are generally very dynamic sort of people that tend to deal with lots of people. So politicians, also people who are into building corporations, so CEOs, directors, they tend to also have strong basic chakras because, again, it's about dynamic energy, getting things done. Also, that's also the area for money and finances. So a CEO of a company, that chakra is going to be big, right? Think about someone like Oprah. I mean, she has a very strong basic chakra because she has a lot of money. So those are things that are sort of strong for the politicians and executives. Executives, similar to influencers, tend not to have very strong heart chakras because to them, again, it's all about like the bottom line, getting things done, making sure things are super strategic. That sometimes they forget to like reach out to others and to help other people along their way as they're getting things done. And again, as the heart chakra opens, the crown chakra opens as well, which lets in more divine light and really allows them to get in tune with spirituality, but also allows them to see the bigger picture and really not just focus on what's good for the company, but also what's good for humanity as well, right? So that's that. Now, let's talk about porn stars. People in the adult entertainment industry. This is actually the main reason why I made this video, was because these videos that I've been doing, I have, different people reach out to me and say different things about the video. I actually had someone reach out to me that was in the adult entertainment industry reach out to me and just asked me a few questions about different things. So we met up. I spoke to him about things, about spirituality, about wellness. And then, because I wanted to be nosy and sort of check in on sort of what he does for a living and really see what that's like, I decided to visit an adult film set and sort of see what that's like. So no, I did not see any action take place, people. Okay, before you get all crazy, okay? I did not see any action take place. But I kind of just like went to the sort of set. So I was there kind of like after, I guess, the dirty happened. And it's interesting. Like, people in the adult entertainment industry, they have, of course, like very strong sex chakras because they're having sex for work. But like, they also have pieces of other people with them as well. How do I explain this? So we all have a soul. And this soul is ours, and this soul is deeply connected to us. We all have this soul. And the more you're connected to people and the more you do different things in life, sometimes the more the soul goes from like one person to another. So if you're having sex with someone, sometimes a piece of your soul in some ways can get connected with that person. So someone having sex for work, their soul is doing a lot of moving from one person to the other. And then on top of that, having, not only are they connected in that way to the people that they're having sex with, they're also being connected to other people who are watching the porn as well. So it's all these connections. So porn stars, they have very strong sex chakras, but there's a lot of instability in terms of who they are as people, in terms of their emotions, because their solar plexus chakra is also very congested. because they are, again, dealing with different energies and having people lust over them in videos. So in many ways, like, they're getting connected. Like, there are almost like all these invisible cords that are connected between them and other people that they've had sex with, but also between them and people who actually watch the porn as well. So porn stars, in many ways, yeah, they have a lot of stuff happening to them. So yeah, so they tend to have very strong sex chakras, but tend to have very congested solar plexus chakras, which makes them very like up and down all over the place. And I was trying to tell this guy I was talking to, very popular, he has like over 32,000 followers on Instagram. I was telling him, you need to take care of yourself, because like if you don't, this can really affect you like long term in life. So people that are in that industry really need to like cleanse themselves like multiple times a day, like using different modalities to sort of help: meditation, aromatherapy, energy healing, like taking showers with like salt and soap. I mean, because their energy, their aura is super dirty, and their chakras, especially solar plexus chakra, is very off, which in many ways kind of throws everything else off as well. So yeah, people in the sex industry, y'all need to just constant cleansing, just constant cleansing. Yeah, because they become very unstable, because other people are connected to them. So a lot of what they're doing in many ways on a day-to-day basis, a lot of it isn't coming from them. It's coming from all these other people, all these other connections that they're connected to other people, but they don't really know why all of a sudden they feel angry or sad or upset. But it's because, again, there are these connections to other people that they're feeling. So yeah, so they need deep cleansing. I told them you need to like get it together in some sort of way. I know this is his career, because also I realized a lot of people in the porn industry, again, talking to him and hearing his life story and other people that he kind of works with, like a lot of them actually see this as like art for them. Like they see this as like their artistic practice in many ways. This is how they express their creativity. So I'm like, all right, I'm okay. I get it. Look, I'm not going to judge anyone for what they do. And I understand sort of where they're coming from. But at the same time, if they're going to do that, they need to have a super duper cleansing plan. Because if not, they can literally go crazy. And yeah, I mean, it's rough. I mean, things that I experienced with him and just seeing other people he worked with, yeah, they're not themselves. They're not like totally fully themselves. And also because I'm partially clairvoyant too, there were things that I saw that I'm like, oh, this is not very healthy, So anyway, enough about that. I just had to mention that because, again, I think seeing that really sparked this video in terms of like, oh, people's work, what they do can really affect them, So then I started going down other careers and other things people do to put this video together. So we got that. Now let's talk about something totally opposite, right? Priests, people in the clergy. So people like that generally tend to have very connected crown chakras, because most of their work tends to be dealing with God, right, or some sort of higher source. Now, priests, specifically priests, they tend to have very congested sex chakras, right? I know in many ways people feel like sex isn't good, sex isn't healthy. But actually, sex is actually very healthy, and it's actually one of the things that are needed. You speak to any psychologist, they'll tell you that sex is one of the things that we need to like survive as humans and sort of make us like normal. Of course, like you shouldn't be out there being promiscuous with people, but having sex is actually very healthy. But because priests don't have sex, their sex chakra is very, very congested and is very blocked. And there are ways that energy from the sex chakra can be transmuted into divine energy that can be used by the crown, sort of help ascend on a deeper spiritual level. But people don't know how to do this, right? And the more something is put away, the more something is put by the wayside, the more something is like further deepened down by whatever is happening, right? So priests, for example, are not having sex, right? If they're not having sex, they are essentially, in many ways, trying to tell themselves, you know, I can't have sex, I'm a priest, I can't have sex, I can't have sex, I can't have sex. But I'm sure they still get these thoughts. Hence why we had all these cases in the Catholic Church in which priests were doing inappropriate things to boys. Because the more something is pressed down and repressed, it eventually comes out, but it comes out in a way that might be considered not normal or not the norm, or it might come out in a way that's considered very, very inappropriate, right? So, for example, like priests, like having sex or doing inappropriate things with boys, right? Whether it's sexual molestation or other things, touching inappropriately, right? That's the reason why, is because they're repressing their sexual energy. There's no one else around them that they can use, so they're using boys. Similarly, people that are in jail, right, tend to have sex with each other. They may not necessarily be gay or lesbian, but they're doing it with each other, again, because they're the ones that are there, right? There's all this repression of sexual energy. If someone goes in, they're heterosexual, they only have sex with the opposite gender, and then they're only around people of the same gender, like, what do? Right? You have sex with something or someone that is there and available, because what you're used to is not there, right? There are these cartoons sometimes where if people are deserted on an island for like a long period of time, and sometimes in the cartoons you might see a cartoon look at another character, and then that character sometimes looks like a piece of ham to them, or, you know, a piece of fish or whatever, you know, right? Inappropriate, because it's like, they're not a fish, they're not a piece of ham. Why do you want to eat them? Right? But again, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, well, there's no food here, so looking at someone else, I'm gonna see them now as food. Right? So there are these things that essentially, if things keep getting repressed, the more they come out in ways that are considered to be inappropriate and not normal and almost savage in some ways. So that's why it's important for people who are priests, people who are celibate, people who are not practicing certain things like sex. You have to make sure that you have a way to transmute that sexual energy to something positive, to creativity, right? As I said, the throat chakra and the sex chakra, they're very connected. So you have to find a way to transmute that sexual energy to creativity, or transmute that sex energy to spirituality, so that the repression of stuff doesn't make you a savage, like literally. So that's priests, right? So I'm gonna go one more. Let's do athletes, people that are very, very sort of physical. They tend to have very strong basic chakras. Again, that's with the dynamic energy, doing a lot of movement. They also tend to have very strong solar plexus chakras as well, because it's about competition. And it's about making sure that they win. Yes, so those are athletes. On the opposite end, though, sometimes the solar plexus chakra is too big, because sometimes you see in the news these athletes, they're abusing other people. They're abusing their partners, physically abusing them, right? Because the solar plexus is too big, they have so much dynamic energy that when they get upset, they use this dynamic energy for violence. So people that are athletes need to find ways, again, the heart is key, man. The heart is key. Find ways to open up the heart which will bring love to themselves and love to others. And then essentially, the more you open the heart, as I said before, like 2 or 3 times, I'm going to say it again. The more this is open, the more the crown opens. The more the crown opens, the more divine energy comes in, and the more you can be open and willing to accept humanity and see people for who they are. So, that's it. I told y'all to get y'all popcorn. I told you it was going to be a long video. It's almost a half an hour. It's 25 minutes and so far 29 seconds. So, anyway, that's it. This is my longest video yet. So, this one ain't going to go on the gram or Facebook. This one's going to go to YouTube probably directly. So, anyway, thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. And I will see you in the next video. And let me know if you have any questions, because this was a very dense topic. Any questions, let me know. Type it in the box below. Let me know what you thought. And I'll see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.